My name is Peter Kibble. I work for the Mark Corporation. We are the local representative for Hayward Gordon pumps and mixers. You've got mixers here. You've got some submersible chopper pumps, if I'm not mistaken, here as well. This training is on the vertical shaft mixer. Mark Corporation has been in business since 1970. We recently, in the last year and a half, moved from Medford down to Rockland. So we're in Rockland, Mass. Be here in an hour if you need anything, you need parts for this, you give us a call. Flip the page, the first page there, that's basically this HRF series top entry mixer, okay? Your model has got an HRF and then there's an S because it's a stuffing box as opposed to a mechanical seal. Basically, it's a mixer. I mean, this is not a very in-depth piece of equipment at all. One-piece shaft. On the top, you've got the motor, then you've got the gearbox, then you've got the base plate with the support, and then there's a one-piece shaft down to the blades of the mixer that are bolted onto the one-piece shaft. Okay? If you flip the page, there's our information. If you need parts or service on this, you could call 1-800-45-MAR, and then the number is spelled out there. Janice Curran is our parts. If you need to talk to somebody about parts, she does all our parts, and she's at extension 2617 if you need any of that. Next page is basically the specification of the mixer here. Process conditions is obviously is a quantity of 2, gives you the basin size, the liquid level, mounting surface height, the volume, mixture viscosity, the design temperature. Then there's the mixer details in the middle of the page. It's an axial 3-blade high efficiency pitch blade turbine, and the angle on the blade is 39 degrees. They go up to 45. This one happens to be 39. Hayward Gordon runs a mixer calculation based on the information provided in the plans and specs. The motor is a 1 horsepower, 1200 RPM. Operating speed of the mixer is only 45 RPM. So the gear reducer basically brings it, it's like a 26 to 1 or 26.3, I think, yeah, 26.31 to 1 ratio on the, between the motor and the speed of the blades on the mixer itself. The shaft is 2-inch diameter, it is 94 inches long, and the impeller diameter is 54 inches. The first critical speed is 155 RPM, that's more for vibration issues than anything else. And then you have the gear reducer, mechanical horsepower rating is 4.1. Again, the ratio is 26.31 to 1. Take the multiply or divide the motor speed by that, and you get your 45 RPM. The drive itself, speed reducer drive is manufactured by SEW Euro Drive. It's an all-helical double reduction gear drive with AGMA Class 2 bearing for continuous operation. The bearings are oil lubricated, and there's a double lip seal on the output shaft. Units are mounted to use a square base plate, which incorporates a cartridge bearing, isolating the bending moment force from the gearbox. Shaft is one piece. Extension shaft is 3/16 stainless steel. And then it talks about run out shafts not exceed 1/8 of an inch every 10 feet of shaft. So you guys only have 8 feet of shaft, I think it is. So it should be less than an 1/8 of an inch run out there. On the next page, you've got the mixing impeller. Again, it's a 3-blade, 39-degree, high-efficiency pitch blade turbine design, and that is bolted to the bottom of the shaft. And the shaft, again, is 3/16 stainless steel. High-pressure stuffing box includes an ASA mounting flange, so inside there, the motor gear drive shaft is actually flanged, bolted to the mixer shaft. It's not does not have a coupling. It's bolted to the unit. The packing is a C1045 that is grease lubricated. There is a grease fitting on the stuffing box itself. Stuffing boxes do leak. You don't want to use this if this is a vacuum source, toxic, noxious fumes, which that's not the case here.
What size packing is it?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I can find that out for you though.
So there's a certain type of packing that would be preferred, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I'll get all that information from the factory. What I'll do between this training and the 1 o'clock training, I'll try and get a hold of them, find out, and then get it to Randy or to Georgine. She can pass it on to you guys.
Put it in the manual or something.
Yeah, it may actually even be in the manual. I have not seen a copy of the manual on this yet, so. Okay, next we got the motor. The motor is a Tico Westinghouse, 1 horsepower, 1200 RPM, premium efficiency, inverted duty rated motor. Vertical motor with cast iron frame and steel fan cover, drip cover, and diagonally split conduit box. It's the basic motor. Next page basically gives you the whole overall view of the motor, gearbox, base plate, flange coupling, shaft, the blades itself, the overall length of everything there. And also, there's also the weight of the mixer. Static weight is 415 pounds of the mixer itself. So if you had to lift it out of there for whatever reason. Okay. Next page, basically, this is the program that Hayward Gordon uses to size their mixes. They basically, it's a computer generated program. They punch in the information and it pulls up 3 or 4 different type mixers or different dimensions, and they figure out which one is the best for what you got, what the process is itself. On the next page, more of the same information. It gives you the mixer selection, gives you the impeller diameter, mechanical analysis, the component weights, and support loads. Then down the bottom is mechanical shaft analysis. Again, everything is generated by the computer program. Next page again is another exploded view cross-section of the motor, the gearbox, the base plate, pedestal, sleeve coupling, snap ring, bearing, right down the list there. Next page gets into that HRF model numbering. And in here, your model is an HRFS-10-627.
Should have an S on it there.
Should have an S on it there, yep. That's why it's pointed to down the bottom, because you can have either HRF or HRFS or FM. The M is a mechanical seal. Next page goes into at the very top is the motor. Obviously, these are mounted outside, so circulation around the motor and air cooling to the motor isn't going to be much of an issue. Gear drives. This is more of the pre-installation. It tells you that the drives have been shipped with oil. We'll get into the interval of oil changes a little bit later on in the training. Stuffing box seals consist of six rings. This says 6 rings of packing, and someplace else in here it says 5 rings of packing. So again, I'll get that qualified by the factory. Okay. On the next page, you get into lubrication. The bearing located in the pedestal area of the mixer has been lubricated prior to shipment from the factory. However, at 6 to 8 month intervals, the bearing should be re-greased. Using the grease fitting supplied, and grease slowly with the shaft turning until a slight bead forms at the lip seal. The grease should be high-grade, non-separating ball bearing grease of NLGI number 2 consistency, suitable for operating temperatures up to 200 degrees. Grease should be non-reactive, oxidation-resistant to ball bearing, and should not separate below 300 degrees. It should not precipitate sediment or contain grit, abrasives, or fillers. Okay, and on the motor and the gear drives, the motors are provided with a sealed grease packing and do not have grease fittings. Refer to the attached manufacturer's literature for future details. So basically, it's a sealed bearing on the motors themselves. On the gear drives, a mixer drive oil should be changed every 10,000 hours of operation or every 2 years, whichever is shorter. I don't know whether or not you're going to be running these things 24/7 or whether it's an intermittent. Georgine, what's the?
These will probably be ran both, as long as you're using hydraulic wasting box, this should be run all the time.
Okay.
Almost on the side is down, like you got the south side or the north side down.
So life expectancy on those motor bearings, roughly?
I believe they're usually sized in that L10 life of 100,000 hours, which is longer than I want to be working. And there's only 8,000 hours in a year, so I'm talking 15, 20 more years.
I'll be gone.
Yep.
Under extreme environmental conditions or very high operating loads, more frequent oil changes are recommended. If your mixer operates under such conditions, you must pay special attention to regular oil changes and to inspecting the oil for evidence of deterioration. Most of the places, I don't know, you guys probably have your own oil vendor that comes in here and supplies you with oil. The majority of them will take an oil sample back from you and get an oil analysis done and let you know how your oil is holding up along the time frames that you're changing it. Seals, stuffing box seals equipped with a lantern ring, lube fill fitting, and lube relief plug should be relubricated on a regular basis, 2 to 3 month intervals for a maximum performance. So basically every 2 to 3 months on the seals itself. Mechanical seals you don't have, so we cross that out. There's the picture of the stuffing box, and here, if you look at it, there, I think they show 7 rings of packing on there. You've got your grease fitting, your relief fitting, which is number 8 over on the far side. So when you're greasing, you want to grease in there until you pull that relief plug out, grease until you see, re-grease that until you see new grease coming out that relief plug. Once you do, put the relief plug in, stop greasing, you're all set. Next page, the maintenance on the motors. Each motor should be inspected at a regular interval. The frequency and degree of thoroughness depends upon the environment and nature of the service. The following suggested checklist is required only a few minutes and may result in considerable savings if followed regularly. Cleanliness, coatings of dirt, dust, and grease retard the flow of heat to the atmosphere and may cause overheating. Wipe the motor clean and apply an inhibitor to rusted parts. Temperature, allowable temperature is stamped on the motor nameplate. Overheating indicates overload, shorts, or burned insulation. Moisture, moisture, be sure motor is dry inside and out. Totally enclosed motors may accumulate condensation under certain conditions. Most motors are equipped with a plug hole to permit drainage. And then noise, unusual noise from a motor means trouble. Bearings, seal, inside there, if there's something misaligned, obviously you're gonna hear that, because basically the only part that you're gonna hear moving is the motor and the gearbox up top. Gear drives, other than periodic lubrication as outlined in the lubrication section, no routine operational gear drive maintenance is required. In order to assure the longest life of your drive, annual shutdown, which can correspond with plant shutdown, should be planned. Gear tooth contact and wear patterns, shaft/bearing end play, alignment, bolting conditions of all seals should be checked. Next page goes into troubleshooting. Trouble is overheating. You have motor overloaded, the oil level is too low, the breather is clogged and needs to be cleaned. The grade of oil must be a grade specified in lubrication instruction, which is basically on the last page of this manual. Condition of the oil, you want to make sure that, check to see if the oil is oxidized, dirty, or high sludge content. You want to change the oil. Stuffing box gland may not be over tightened. See packing procedure for proper packing and breaking in. If there's noise, you want to inspect the impellers. Make sure that the impellers are still bolted. All the bolts are tight on the impeller blades themselves to make sure that there's no rattling going on down in the tank itself. Worn or improperly sealed or maintained couplings. Again, this coupling is a bolted coupling, it's a flange coupling. It's nothing that's going to misthread anything on. It's bolted together. Shouldn't be an issue, but again, you want to check the bolting. After about 1,500 hours of operation, you probably want to check make sure all the bolts are still tight and everything with that. If conditions permit. Bearings and gears are exposed to an abrasive substance, dusty atmosphere. Again, it's a wastewater treatment plant right now. You've got construction going on, so you're going to have some dust flying around. But in normal operation, I wouldn't imagine there'd be a tremendous amount of dust flying around the plant here. Next page, vibration. Again, you want to make sure that the impellers there's nothing hung up on top of the impeller, creating any type of imbalance on the impeller itself. Make sure that everything is still bolted tight. Bolts tightened, mixer support structure. You want to make sure that all the anchor bolts are connected and there's no loose anchor bolts, and you have what they call a soft foot that can cause some vibration in the motor and the base plate itself. Lower agitator shaft. Lower edge should not be bent. Again, the rigid coupling must be connected according to instructions. They're bolted together. Steady bearing has excessive wear occurred during the bearing bushing. Is bearing securely bolted to the vessel and properly aligned. Oil leakage is the breather open. If the breather isn't open, the excess pressure is going to build up inside that gearbox, and that will cause some oil leakage there as well. And then worn oil seals, again, if there's some shaft misalignment or there's some float in the shaft because of buildup of material on the blades, it's going to wear those oil seals as well. And again, you're going to get some leakage by those. Okay. Next page. Inspection and maintenance, time period, every 3,000 machine hours, at least every 6 months. You want to check the oil. You don't have to change the oil. Again, oil changes every 10,000 hours. And depending on the operating instructions, at least every 3 years, you want to change the mineral oil or replace the bearing grease. And depending on operating conditions, at least every 5 years, you want to change synthetic oil and replace bearing grease as well. And again, on the very last page, it gives you a list of recommended lubrication for the SEW drive: Mobile, Shell, Clobber, Arrow, BP, Tribal. The majority of these oils, I mean, like this Mobile Heel 630, that's a synthetic oil. That thing, most plants that I've ever been in usually have the 630 and the 629 somewhere on their shelf as a synthetic oil that they've used in the past. Then there's just a chart on lubrication schedule replacement, base oil bath, steady state temperature, depending on what the temperature is of the unit itself. Obviously, the cooler it runs, the longer life you're going to get out of the oil itself. Next page, on inspection and maintenance. You don't want to mix synthetic lubricants with each other, nor with mineral lubricants. Oil is the standard lubricant. The position of the oil level plug, oil drain plug, and breather valve is dependent on the mounting position. The respective position can be determined in the mounting position diagrams. See section 8. Now, that's of the whole manual. This is just part of the training drive. You can see right out on the mixer itself. You'll see where the oil fill, the vent plug, the drain plug all are. Right on it's very evident on the gearbox itself. I check the oil level. Again, this is there's usually a dipstick on some of these drives. There's a dipstick that you can pull out and you can see what it is. Otherwise, there's a level plug somewhere around the casing of the drive itself. Pull that out. Oil should be there. If it's not, you can add some. If it's above that and it comes pouring out, then you don't want to over lubricate